Hello and welcome to the English Homemaker podcast. This is a podcast where we discuss all things home, a realistic but fresh view of homemaking from the suburbs of the south of England. I'm your host, Alyssa Evelyn. Welcome to episode 1 of the English Homemaker. Hello everybody, how are you? I hope you're having a really great day. I have done this beginning so many times and I keep making mistakes, and I wanted to actually start by saying that I am not a perfect homemaker. Most of what this podcast is going to be about is how I make mistakes, but I try really hard. It's about the journey. It's about the attitude you come at homemaking with. And I guess that's kind of reflected in this first podcast. It's going to be full of ums and ahs and imperfect things. Sometimes I'm going to ramble. Hopefully sometimes you'll appreciate that. Other times you won't and you'll want to skip forward. That's fine. I'm a human. This is a real podcast. I didn't want it to be super edited, super scripted. I wanted it to be raw and real and interesting because that's the kind of podcast I like to listen to. So first off, why a podcast? Personally, I absolutely love podcasts. I listen to podcasts all the time when I'm doing laundry, when I'm prepping food, probably not when I'm in the garden, but, folding laundry, doing the ironing, steaming the floors, anything where it's not too noisy and I can really get into something juicy and learn or be entertained. So what I realised was that whilst there are a couple of very engaging and encouraging podcasts for homemakers, there are not many coming from someone with an English accent. So I figured there's a gap there, perhaps for me. So I thought I'd give it a bit of a shot. And I am that sort of a person, the type where I'll just go, well, my mum has a recording mic and some equipment I can borrow, and I love to talk, so I'll give it a go. So I chose the name The English Homemaker because it sounds pretty good, and I am English and I am a homemaker full time. You'll be able to listen regularly on your podcasting app, I hope, probably fortnightly to begin with, and it will be mostly me chatting about everything homemaking: food, budget, cleaning, mindset, routines, planning, herbalism, mending, crafts, gardening, consumerism, feminism, seasonal living, self-care, wardrobes, minimalism, community, traditions. I could literally go on about homemaking for a long time, which is why I am so happy to have this platform to talk to you about it. I plan on the podcast being about 30 minutes to an hour because that's the length that I prefer. It's probably also what's attainable for me, and it's most likely going to be a solo podcast for a while. I would absolutely love to have guests, and I have got a few on my list, but first I'm just going to get used to using the mic and just laying some groundwork so you can get to know me a little bit more. I'd love to have longer podcasts with guests, like proper interviews, and I'd really love to do that in person, one-to-one, which will take a bit more practice and quite a bit of planning. There are some really incredible homemakers in the UK that I would absolutely love to interview. So also, if you have any that are on your list that you think would be really interesting guests that live in England or the UK, let me know. I'd be really interested to hear. So I hope the podcast is a fresh and realistic take on homemaking and not the stereotype that I think lots of people have in their heads. Either an old version of the homemaker, which is that kind of do it all perfectly wife of the 50s, or the other stereotype of the modern day homemaker, which is basically someone who lives in America with a homestead, makes their own butter from their own dairy cow, cooks from scratch, homeschools many children, is probably a Christian, grows all their own pumpkins, runs a business from home. You get the picture. Whilst there is absolutely nothing wrong with that whatsoever at all. In fact, I actually think it's pretty amazing, marvelous, wonderful. I'm very jealous of it. I think I would love to live that way. It's just not very realistic for us over here in England, and for lots of other people throughout the world in suburban situations, or who live in big cities, or who just aren't that well off. There are a lot of political and historical reasons why the whole homestead idea just isn't very applicable to most people in England, and it mostly comes down to the fact that it's just really expensive to purchase land. There are a few cool initiatives that have seen landowners sell off small plots of land for kind of cool projects, creative ideas, and people with a really solid business plan. But that's like very few and far between. The majority of people that I know need to live near a job so they can pay for food and the rising costs of things, and they afford where they can and are very grateful. Or like my brother, just move to Sweden or France or America or New Zealand or the outback Scottish Isles. Anyway, you get the point. Basically, in England, it's so expensive to live kind of like a homestead, homemaker kind of way of being. This podcast is for the average city and suburban dweller who just needs to be encouraged to be grateful for the things they've got and learn how to be a homemaker where they are, with a smile on your face and a heart filled with all the amazing privileges that you do have. And maybe I am talking to myself a little bit here, and probably in every episode I will be talking to myself and encouraging myself, and I will always be learning, because it's so easy in this age of social media to just see people living like the dream in like Hawaii, for example, growing their own banana plants on their own like plot of land, and just wishing that I could trade places because I can't even grow a reasonable enough looking carrot in my 10 by 15 metre yard. And that's the reality of my life. And I've got so many things to be grateful for. But it's just so easy to think that I don't have enough because I can't grow banana plants in the tropics. So I want to encourage you to see your normal life in a new way, and I want you to help you romanticize English suburban living and help you find joy in it. I want the conversations that I have with you to be life-giving, to be helpful and encouraging, and I want to offer all the tips I have learned, and as well as share things that you share with me too. And I want to talk about the ins and the outs, the ups and the downs of homemaking. And in all of this, I want to always know and share that I am not at a place of arriving. I am not the perfect homemaker. I have not dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. I don't know everything. I am so very much learning and on a journey. But I really want to share it with you, because one of the best things about the internet and what the internet should be used for is creating communities of people that are like-minded and just need to encourage each other. We live in a world, don't we, where we're supposed to be all the things. We are supposed to be environmentally conscious and zero waste. We're supposed to eat lots of whole food plants sourced locally and also make a lot of bone broth from scratch. We're supposed to prep our meals and fill our freezer in a very beautiful and organised way. We're supposed to nourish our children, clean like a professional, keep a minimalist house, have a designed home that looks like it's on the pages of Country Living magazine, do no-dig gardening, homeschool after school, read about respectful parenting, have all the Montessori toys, stay looking 25 years old forever, keep up with the trends, etc., etc. But I have literally tried and failed to be even one of those things. And I am very tired of trying so hard, and I want to take things less seriously when they're not so important. And I want to focus on what is important, which is your heart and my heart, how you approach the role of homemaking on a daily basis, how not to get burnt out and how not to feel lonely, how not to really struggle with your mental health. I don't think homemaking is only for people like me either. I think it can look like many different things, regardless of age, gender, race, background, finances, marital status, employment status. So whilst I will always talk really candidly from my perspective, I hope you never feel like homemaking cannot be for you. And if you have a heart to make a home where you are right now, you are a homemaker. One of the things I really want to do with this podcast is to make sure that homemakers give themselves a break. And also learn to enjoy the daily tasks, the things you have to do every single day, and hopefully inspire you to see things in new ways, different ways, and also make time for fun. It's not all about the daily tasks, and it shouldn't be, and you need to prioritize fun for you and your family or those people around you. That's super duper important. So I reckon it is about time I introduced myself to you, because lots of you will already know who I am from following me on YouTube, or my blog, or Instagram. But for those of you that don't know, my name is Alyssa. I live in England. I already told you that at the beginning. I have wanted to be a homemaker since forever. I started keeping a box of things for when I had my own home when I was 16, and I think there was like a pink orange juicer in there and a really pretty tablecloth, and then a few other things went in there, maybe like some fancy spoons I probably got at a antique store or something like that. Anyway, there were some really random things. I don't think I own any of those things anymore. They were far too cheap and they probably all broke straight away. I certainly used most of them actually when I went to university. But me claiming that box and filling it with things was me claiming a future I saw for myself. I was dreaming about being married, about having my own children, and it would be 9 years until that came true. I was 25 when I got married, and I was 29 when I became a mother. 29, 28. Oh, I really should know that. 28. Yes. I had always tied homemaking and marriage and family together, but I think I just didn't realise I actually already was a homemaker. Even when I was 16, I've always been someone that loved being at home, loved creative projects around the home, helping to run the daily tasks, and I've worked mostly from home all my life, running my own businesses. I am so grateful to my mum, who allowed me the opportunity to help with the food shopping and cooking from a really young age. And she always encouraged me when I would have like a party to be like a proper hostess. It was never anything like super fancy. I certainly didn't have a formal training in anything, but it was a really good kind of step towards the kind of practical side of things that were to come. I became a full-time homemaker when I was pregnant with my son, my firstborn. We just moved to Belgium with my husband's company, and I was just super excited to finally get the opportunity to go all in after having been in full-time work outside of the home for many years. And it's been a very rocky roller coaster since then. It's certainly not the easy choice, which I'm sure if you continue to listen to the podcast, you'll hear many stories and you'll understand some of the challenges I've faced, lots of the blessings that we've had, and also a bit more about the journey that we've been on. And I hope that lots of you can relate to those stories. So as I mentioned, this is going to be a fortnightly podcast just with me to begin with, and every fortnight we will be tackling a different topic. I really hope that the Instagram at the English Homemaker will be a really great source of conversation, inspiration and sharing ideas. So please do go and follow on over there, and you'll be kept up to date with the next topic and find out when new episodes are live. I am definitely going to need a bit of support, encouragement and help to begin with. So please, if you can head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave me a review so other people can find the podcast, and also I can hear what you think. That would be really, really helpful. In this modern world of social media and the internet, I really hope that we can harness the positive aspects of what social media can be used for. I hope I can give you the tools to be able to learn to love the life that you do have, to occasionally teach you little tricks that save you time, and to remind you of things you already know and encourage you along the way. This has been on my heart for such a long time. All I want to do is encourage every single one of you out there who is listening to podcasts, who has time available because what they feel like they're doing all the time is the same repeated daily tasks. And you don't want your brain to go to fuzz, and you also don't want to feel really lonely. I see you. I totally know who you are because I am you. And I know what it's like to be dreaming of a life that isn't the one that you have when the one that you do have is so incredibly amazing. And I really want you to go away feeling really encouraged and positive after every single time you listen to this podcast. So, to conclude, thank you so much for spending time with me today. If you enjoyed this, do all the things I told you to do already. And I really hope you come back for the second episode. Have a really great day. Bye.